I didn't lose my sight in one dramatic moment. It didn't happen in a flash or an explosion or some movie-style accident. It happened quietly, piece by piece, until one day I realized the world had gone dark and everyone around me was already acting like I was finished. That's the part nobody tells you. Going blind doesn't just take your eyes. It changes how people talk to you, how they touch your arm, how they decide things for you without asking. Especially the people who say they love you. My name used to mean something. I built a logistics company from a rented garage and a folding table. Long nights, bad coffee contracts signed on the hood of my car. I wasn't born rich. I earned every dollar, every ounce of respect. Then, a neurological condition took my vision slowly at first, then all at once. By the time the doctors admitted there was nothing more they could do, my wife Claire had already started speaking for me. Not loudly, politely, like I wasn't quite there anymore. Every afternoon she's brought me to this small city park near our condo. Said fresh air helped my mood. Same bench, same routine. She'd sit me down, kiss my cheek, then walk away to make calls. I could hear her heels clicking farther and farther off her voice, dropping into that private tone people use when they think no one's listening. I never asked who she was talking to. Part of me didn't want to know. Another part of me was just tired. Then, one afternoon after Claire walked off, a voice I'd never heard before said, "Sir, I know this sounds crazy, but I think you're not supposed to be blind." I actually laughed. A short, dry laugh. I said, "Kid, you and every doctor in the country agree on one thing I am." She didn't laugh back. That's what got me. She said, "No, someone made you this way." I turned toward her voice. She was young. You could hear it. But there was nothing childish about how she spoke. She told me her name was Lila. Said she lived nearby, sometimes slept behind the bakery when it rained. She'd seen Claire bring me here almost every day, and she'd heard things. Things Claire said when she thought no one mattered enough to overhear. Like how the board was almost ready. How once I was declared unfit, everything would finally be hers. How blindness made things easier. You know that feeling when the floor drops out from under you but you're already sitting down? That was me. My hands locked around the bench. I asked Lila why she was telling me this. She said, "Because she scares me. And because you don't look like someone who deserves to disappear." That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark apartment listening to the hum of the fridge, the distant traffic, the silence where trust used to live. Claire didn't come home until after midnight. She smelled like expensive perfume and impatience. She asked if I'd had a good day. I said yes. That was the first lie I told her on purpose. The next few days, I listened harder. To her tone, to what she said and what she didn't. She talked about lawyers like they were old friends, about how exhausting it was to manage everything alone. She started suggesting care facilities, extended rest, maybe stepping back from decisions, always framed as concern, always with that soft voice. I played along, let her think I was slipping, let her underestimate me. Turns out, people who think you're weak get careless. I went back to the park. Lila was there again. She told me more, about overheard conversations, about a document Claire bragged about, power of attorney, about how once it was signed I wouldn't even be allowed to object. I asked Lila what she wanted from me. She shrugged and said nothing. Just don't let her win. I started recording everything. Phone calls, conversations. I stopped taking the pills Claire insisted on. A doctor friend confirmed they were heavy sedatives enough to make anyone look confused. Funny how concern can look a lot like control if you tilt it the right way. Then came the fall. I tried walking on my own one morning, wanted to feel independent for once. Misjudged a step, went down hard. Pain like fire through my wrist. Before I could even breathe, Lila was there. Steady hands, calm voice. "Don't move," she said. "She's coming." Claire arrived seconds later, panic perfectly staged. "This is exactly why you can't be alone," she snapped, forgetting for a moment who was watching. That's when I knew. This wasn't love gone wrong. This was strategy. A week later, with evidence backed up and a lawyer of my own quietly in place, I let Claire make her move. She sat across from me at our dining table and said, "I think it's time we talk about guardianship." I smiled. Said I agree. The relief in her breath was instant. She thought she'd won. The board meeting happened 2 days later. Claire spoke first. Calm, polished, painted me as a man lost in the dark, clinging to pride. Then it was my turn. I stood up, hands shaking just enough to feel human, and said I may be blind, but I'm not stupid. I played the recordings, listed the transactions, named the medications, described the manipulation. The room went quiet in that heavy way truth tends to do. Claire didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just stared. That told me everything. By the end of the week, she was removed. Investigations started. My control was restored. People apologized, said they hadn't known, said they thought they were helping. Funny how that works. Lila showed up the day after the decision, sat next to me on the same bench. I told her she'd saved my life. She said, "No, you just finally listened." We started a foundation together after that. For kids, people ignore. For voices, people dismiss. Because blindness taught me something sight never did. The most dangerous thing in the world isn't darkness. It's being seen as disposable. So here's what I want to know. When someone loses power, do they lose their worth? When someone can't see, who decides they shouldn't be heard? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me where you stand. Because silence is exactly what people like her count on, and I'm done giving it to them.